Shalom of the Netivot Shalom Shir, uh, speaking to you from Efrat, Israel. This week's Torah reading is Vaetchanan, which has a number of things in there, one of which is the Shema Yisroel. And as the Netivot Shalom is going to point out, Shema Yisroel is the foundation of what it means to be a Jew. And this is the one sentence that can get us through all the dark times. We're going through the 9 days just before Tisha B'Av, which starts tomorrow night, the most difficult time in the Jewish calendar, time of great darkness. And as he points out, Shema Yisrael gets us through this time. So let's look at the wording of the Netivot Shalom. It says, Shema Yisrael, Hear O Israel, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. The Lord is our God, the Lord is one. B'kavanos hapshutos shel Krishma, ish yitzorech l'kaveh b'amiris pasuk zeh. You have to concentrate on this sentence. The Yachid es HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shu Yachid U'Miyuchad B'chol Olam. To make the name of God one, to unify the name of God, B'chol Shivat Rakiyim V'Arba Ruchos Olam, all the seven heavens and in all four directions of the world. B'chein Sheyimsor Nafsho Rucho V'Yishmoso L'man Kedusha Shmo Yisbarach. And you have to be willing to give up your soul, your body and your soul, for the holiness of God's name. But Tzorech Bir, we have to understand this. He says, Darei Pasuk Shema Yisrael Hu Yesod HaAmunah. This sentence is the foundation of Amunah, of trust and belief in God. ShaKadosh Baruch Hu Yachid U'Miyuchad, that God is one and the only one. V'Hu Echad V'Ein Sheni, and there's not a second one. There's nobody else. Aval Heichem Rumaz Kan Inyam Mesiris Nafsho Ruchov Lishmasul L'Shav. But so he asks, how do we learn from this the aspect of being willing to give up your life for the service of God? He says also we have to understand Shari Inyan Mesiris Nefesh Nizkar Lahalon, the aspect of Mesiris Nefesh, literally giving up your life, is set forth further on. As the sages said, "Uv'chol nafshecha," the second paragraph, V'hoyim Shemoah says, not the second paragraph, the later on in this first paragraph of Shema, it says, "V'chol nafshecha," with all your soul, meaning afil notel es nafshecha, even if it means giving up your soul. V'adaseh kasher gam b'mad di'isa v'gemora, b'shah shehotzias Rabbi Akiva la'arigo l'man krishma. And the question is asked in the Gemara as to regarding when the Romans took out Rabbi Akiva to kill him. It happened to be the time of Shema. They were scraping his body with metal forks, and during that time, he was able to accept the yoke of heaven, Ol Malchus Shemayim. And he extended the word echad, the last word of Shema, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. He extended that ad shi yatsa nishmasu be'echad, until his life went away from him. He lost his life at that moment. His life disappeared. He was dead at that moment. Why is he concentrating so hard on that sentence? It should be, as we said a moment ago, with all your soul, even to give up your soul. He said, all my life I was concerned about this sentence in the Torah. And why is does he extend the word echad, one? So the sages ask, Lama Kadma Parsha Shema L'Voyim Shema. Why do we have the Shema uh, before V'hoyim Shema, the second paragraph of the Shema? The reason is Kadesh Yikabel Olav Ol Malchus Shemayim Techila. The first part of Shema Yisroel, the first paragraph, we are accepting upon ourselves the kingdom of heaven, the unity of God, the yoke of of serving God. And after that, V'kabel Ol Mitzvos. In the second paragraph, V'hoyim Shemoah, then you're saying that you are accepting upon yourself all of the yoke of the commandments. We have to understand this division. Because the acceptance of the yoke of heaven, Gam Ken Kabbalas Ol Mitzvah, is also the acceptance of the mitzvahs, of the commandments. Shebakabalas Atzmo Ol Malchus Shemayim. You on yourself, you make a resolve that you will accept upon yourself the yoke of heaven, Shikaimus and mitzvos, which involves fulfilling the commandments. And similarly, to receive the yoke and accept the yoke of commandments, that includes also receiving O Malchus Shemayim, the yoke of heaven. Shema Yisroel Shem Elokeinu Shem Echad Lo Nemar Kishar Mitzvos HaTorah B'Lashon Tzivui. This sentence is not said like other commandments in the Torah, in the language of commanding. The second paragraph, the second part of the first paragraph of Shema says, "V'yahavta, you shall love." It's a commandment to love. It's a mitzvah. It's a positive commandment. V'yilukan kasiv halashon Shema Yisrael. Here it's just said, listen, O Israel. She'ein zeh tzivui el harizeh hoda al Yehudi she'odes ma'oso. It's not a commandment. It's just a signal to the Jewish person that he has to understand his essence. V'ayinu kichol mitzvos nidu Yehudi ach bahu Yehudi atzmo said never pasuk zeh. The all of the commandments are given to the Jew, but this one, the Shema Yisrael, explains what a Jew is. Shema Yisrael Shem Elokeinu Shem Echad Esa Yehudi Yesh Rak Davar Echad. By a Jew, there is only one thing: Hashem Elokeinu, God is our God. Ve'ein od milvado, there's nobody but God. B'chol habriya doma tzomei chai v'daber ein shum davar milvad koach habor yispori. And all of creation, the inanimate, animate things, the living things, the speaking things, there is nothing but God Himself. God is in charge. V'od amar, as it says, "V'atu b'chayis kulam," you sustain all of them. You sustain everything in this world. Everything is based on what God wants to happen. You can't move from your place without God wanting it. And all of the creation lives only with that understanding that God gives life and sustenance to all. And recognizing that God is the sole sustainer of life and everything around us, that brings a Jew to nullify completely himself to God under the aspect of you and all that you are belong to Hashem, to God. There's nothing but God. Ein lo shum kiyum b'lei koach HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There's no power without the power of God. V'zeu perush Hashem echad. That's what it means. God is one. Shakol botol b'vutal elav yisborach. That everything is nullified in comparison to God. U'merubah zvinya b'mad de'isa b'shulchan aruch. And this helps to understand what it says in the Shulchan Aruch, the code of law, the halacha, that tells us that when you say the first sentence of Shema, the actual words, Shema Yisroel, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, you must cover your eyes like this. Why? Shalom Atzinu, b'mokom echad chova, because we don't find anything like this in any other place. Ela shezeh gam levate inyan tachlis habitul shebapasuk zeh shechutz b'menu yisborach hakol ein v'efos. It's to teach us that other than this quality, this recognition of God being one, there nothing else exists. Everything is nothingness compared to God. Batzadiki b'toch godol darga, hisbatlos sholohem l'Shem Yisborach, harei magiyim l'dveikos hayona b'Shem Yisborach ad kolos hanefesh. The righteous would nullify themselves so much to God that they would basically turn over their entire essence to God. And that is the meaning of what it says. You shall be prepared to hand over your entire life, your entire body, your entire living situation to God. And then under the concept of Shema Yisroel, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, she'ezeh k'mashmot v'chol nafshecha. This is not what you could derive from the word b'chol nafshecha. She'b'chol nafshecha hu mitzvah b'siras nefesh b'nyanim aleim mechuyev Yehudi libesor nafsho. This commandment, b'chol nafshecha, with all your soul, that's a mitzvah to give up your life where things are such that you're required to give your life up for it. As, for example, the three cardinal sins of murder, immorality, and idol worship. If somebody who asks you to do that, forces you to do that, you have to be willing to give up your life for that. And that's only in that case, and not in this case. Ach Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, Inyanu Hisbadlus Hashem Echad, Shebos Shenam Sheruchu Yisbosim V'Atelim L'Hashem Echad She'ein Zulaso. You recognize that God is one. There's nobody like Him in the whole universe. V'zeu Mashmos Kabbalas O Malchus Shemayim. And this is what it means when we talk about accepting upon yourself the yoke of heaven. This was the level that Rabbi Akiva reached. That he extended the word Echad, Shema Yisroel Hashem Echad, ad shiyatzas lishmasu b'Echad, until his soul left him. Dahainu Rabbi Akiva bitul es atzmo Hashem Yisborach b'tachlis his batlut ad shagir lekalos hanefesh. Whereas Rabbi Akiva nullified himself to God in the aspect of giving over every part of his being to God, including giving his life for God. He gave up his life. He was so close to Hashem, he gave up his life because of the cleavingness, the closeness he had with God, until his neshama, his soul, left his body. And he reached this higher level, Shal Hashem Echad, of God is one. Shoy Madrega Yoter Gavoa B'Bechal Nafshecha. This is a higher level than B'Chal Nafshecha, with all the obligation to give up your life. She'enu El together had sivlim v'halachos. This is only in the aspect of the commands and the halachos, the instructions of our rabbis as to how to fulfill this. K'mo shekasu b'zeh hamaral, the Maral writes, Sheshav rucho v'nafshu elav yisborach legamri, ad she'ein lo metzius b'fnei atzmo. His spirit is returned to him, is returned to God, and so there's nothing, no reality for himself. His only reality is God. And for that, he extended the last word of the sentence, Echad, one. We find this in the Parsha talking about when the Jewish people go out to fight. Shema Yisroel. There also was written the language of Shema Yisrael. Listen, O Israel. Atem karavim hayom l'milchama. You're going today to war. Alayvechem, all your enemies. Ayerach levach levavechem. Don't let your heart be faint. Al tiro. Don't fear them. Val tichbazu. Val ta'artzu mipneim. Don't worry about them at all. Why? Because Ki Hashem Elokeichem Haholech Imochem Yilachem Lachem Im Oivechem Sivui El She'ein Zeh Sivui El Hodal Yehudi. This isn't a command, but it's only to tell the Jew Al HaKoach HaOmed Lo B'Shah Shehu Yosef L'Melchama. The power that a Jew has when he goes out to war is not a power from physicality, but it's a power that comes from his closeness to God. Shiyoda also that power of God will walk with him, will accompany him and save him. This is not only in the actual physical war, but also in the battles that you have with your Yetzer Hara, with the negative influence, the negative desires. This is the foundation of Amunah, of trusting God, of a Jew. Shiadea, Hashem Elokeinu, Aholech B'Lachem Lilachem. Know that the Lord our God, who goes to fight with you, V'Adaseh Inyan Shema Yisrael, who Gilui Shel Al Hoso Yehudi. This reveals the essence of what a Jew is. She'etzel Yehudi Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. That by a Jew, God is one, and His name is one. Mitoch kach hu batur legamri l'Hashem Yisborach she'ein od b'vado. And because of that, a Jew nullifies everything else to God, recognizing there's none like God in this world. V'mishar kol mitzvos, even with other commandments, im Yehudi avar uvitel mitzvah chet v'averazu yado. If a Jew violates another commandment, he's committed a sin. Abul adayin. Abeladayan, who B'chala Yehudi, he remains a Jew. Hari mitzvah zu shel Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, he hu etzem shel Yehudi. This commandment of recognizing the oneness of God, that's the foundation of being a Jew. Ve'ikar ha'ikara shel hayadus. This is the foundational aspect of being Jewish. Over alaha nikra kofer be'ikar. Somebody who violates this this concept, who thinks chas v'shalom that there's somebody other than God running things. He's denying all of the Torah. He's denying his Yiddishkeit. He's no longer considered a Jew. L'lakach, and therefore, lo nemar kan. It's not written here. B'lashon tzibur as a commandment. Sha'idei zeh rak mitzvah pratis, because then it would only be a simple commandment. Ella, nemar b'lashon Shema Yisroel. It's written in the language of Shema Yisroel. Klomer, sheteda, you should know. Sha'ikar sha'Yehudi hu Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. V'lo zeh ein Yehudi klal. Without that knowledge, you can't be considered a Jew at all. V'zeh mamar ha'miyuchad shel Kriyas Shema b'am Yisrael. This is the reason that Kriyas Shema was mandated to be said throughout all of Israel. Kamosh with Seder Shas, the order of the Talmud, Matchil Me'emos HaKodesh Shema B'Arvis, begins with the mitzvah of when do I begin reciting the Shema in the evening? Ki hayom matchil behalai, because the day begins from the night, because it says in Bereshis, when the world was created, Vayerev, it was night, Vayiboker, Yom Echad, night, and it was morning, and it was one day. Ki hayom matchil behalayla, miyad betchilat yomo sheyehudi rosh l'chol davar korehu krishba. At the beginning of the day of a Jew, the most important thing is to read the Shema, umakabel olav ol malchus shemaim, to accept on himself the yoke of heaven, shu batu lagamri l'Shem Yisborach, that you're nullifying yourself completely to God. L'chein kadma parsha Shema Yisroel l'parsha Vaetchanan Sheboah, and therefore this chapter of Shema comes before Vaetchanan Sheboah. You have to accept the yoke of heaven before you can accept the yoke of mitzvos. This is the essence of a Jew in this world. Liot bato b'tachlis l'Shem Yisborach, to nullify himself completely to God. That's before any mitzvah, before you fulfill any commandment. Therefore, the very beginning of the day, you jump out of bed after you say Moda'ani, you wash your hands, Koreh Shema, you read the Shema. B'makabel Yehudi es asmo es habat es havtalot l'Shem Echad. You're receiving your nullification to the one God. V'chein kash Yehudi nolad, when a Jew is born, Koreh Shema b'chol layla liyad mitaso. Every night before the Brit, if it's a boy or if it's a girl, they read at the bedside, at the crib side, Shema Yisroel every single night. Also Shema Yisroel. If he's a boy, they bring him to the bris. During that ceremony, they also say Shema Yisroel, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. At the end of days, when he's ready to leave this world and go to another world, Omrim Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, Ki Shema Yisrael, Hu HaYesod Shel Yehudi, Hamava Oso B'chol Yemei Chayav. This Shema Yisrael is the foundational sentence of a Jew that accompanies him throughout his life. Shebereshis call Daber Hu B'Kabel Es Atzmo Al Atzmo Ol Malchus Shemayim. Ubispatel Hashem Yisborach B'Kriyas Shema Yisrael. And the first thing a Jew has to do is to accept upon himself the yoke of heaven and to nullify himself to God by saying Kriya Shema. Kamokain, B'Tchila Hashanah, B'Rosh Hashanah. Therefore, even on Rosh Hashanah, the beginning of the year, Omrim B'Rishona Seder Malchios, we say in the Shemona Esrei, we have it divided into three different parts. And the first one is Seder Malchios, the aspect of kingship, the crowning of God as the king of the world. Umar Chazal, Amr Lefanai Malchios Kadesh Tamlichenu Aleichem. The sages said we say these sentences about uh, inaugurating God as the king of the world in order to have God rule over us. Al Pizeh Yesh Mamar Mora Adbar Beves Avram Al Pasuk Sheish Ore Miklot Asher Titnu Ladas Ladu Shamarotzeach. He says there were there were six Ore Miklot, cities of refuge that God told the Jewish people to create so that a murderer could run there for safety. B'Shema Sifri HaKodesh, Ohev Yisrael, in the name of the Ohev Yisrael, the Sheish Ori Miklot, Merumas L'Sheishes HaTevos, Shema Pasuk Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Those six cities of refuge, they hint at the six words in the first pasuk of Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. This is a place of safety wherever anybody who has murdered somebody can run to. If a Jew violates the worst possible sin, Harishishas Hatevos Shel Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, Heim Ori Miklat Avaro. These six words of the Shema Yisrael are cities of refuge. Because we're able to then pour out our soul to God, and to nullify ourselves completely to God. Mehai Tama. The sages made this such a strict obligation. Gemara says, says, by law, you can really read Shema at night, all night long until dawn. The sages made a fence to ensure that nobody would violate the rules. Kadesh Yada Bobby Nasadar, so that person shouldn't come home after a hard day's work. Be'erav in the evening, Vomer says, Eilech Leveti, I'm going to go home. V'ochel Kima, I'll eat a little bit. V'eshta Kima, I'll drink a little bit. V'ishan Kima, I'll sleep a little bit. V'achakach Ekra Kriyashma. After that, we'll read Shema. V'espalel. And I'll pray. Shina, and I will forego my sleep. So if he does that first, putting that priority, but he's going to end up sleeping through the night, not saying Shema at all. Therefore, the sages put a limit on it, only to Chatzos, till midnight. If somebody doesn't keep the commandments as set forth, as interpreted by the sages, you're guilty of you're guilty of a cardinal sin, and you're fitting for death. We don't find this even with the worst possible sins. Elimination Inyan Kriyash Mahu Mayasodo Shel Yehudi. The reason is that this is so strict is because this whole aspect of Shema is the foundation of being a Jew. The beginning of the day, meaning at night, a Jew must accept upon himself this yoke of heavenly service. Al Kain Amru B'zeh. And therefore, we say that Shekal Ha'over Al Derech Chayav Misa. Since it's such a foundational principle, we say that if he doesn't do it, he, so to speak, would be worthy of death. Of course, death penalty is not given without warning by witnesses and so on. But he's pointing out that it's so severe to not say Shema that it'd be worthy of a death penalty. He says, "Inyan shekorid aseres adibros lachim echshechas shabeinu mitzorim v'tishbav." He says, why do we read the Ten Commandments after the darkness of the 3 weeks before Tisha B'Av and Tisha B'Av? Lefi k'sha'asher Yehudi over tekufa shel chashechos. It's teaching us that when a Jew goes through a period of darkness, tzorichu acher kach lekabel es Torah b'chadash. It's like he has to receive the Torah anew, as if it was just given. Valdasa yesh lamer gam u'inyan she'ach yimei ben ha-mitzorim korin ha-pasuk Shema Yisroel Shem Elokeinu Shem Echad. And that is why we read that sentence uh, at this time, this very sacred time, after you have gone through this darkness, to recognize that God is there to bring us out of the darkness and into the light, and that we achieve through saying Shema Yisroel. Shachri Shehudi Omer Sheikhos Tzorich Lekabel Omach as Atzmo Omach Shemayim Levatel as Atzmo V'Gamel Hashem Yisborach, to nullify himself completely to God. V'Bechinas Lecha Ani V'Chol Shali, you and I, and all that is yours. Shizeh Bechinas Ori Miklat Ladu Shama Kol Rotzech Ligol Osa V'Chashechos. Everything that you have, everything that you do, anything that is accomplished in this world is not accomplished without God wanting it to happen. And this is the aspect of the Ore Miklat Ladu Shama, the 6 cities of refuge to run to. Kol Rotzeach Tigol Osa B'Chashechos. Every murderer, unintentional murderer, comes to save himself from the darkness. And this is how you get out of the darkness. This is when the Netivot Shalom is ending up with the critical aspect of Shema Yisroel, is after we go through the darkest times, we have the most difficulty, no matter what has happened. Shema Yisroel, saying that sentence and understanding that sentence, saying it with emunah, is the recipe to get you over these difficult times. Thank you for listening. And if we have to go into Tisha B'Av tomorrow night because Mashiach hasn't arrived yet, God forbid, then I wish everybody if you have to fast, let's at least make it a meaningful fast and think of the closeness that we can reach with God.
You're recording.